So with that, all right. This is what we are going to be covering today. We're going to just kind of go do the bare bones of what ChatGPT is. A lot of you are probably familiar with this, but just a little background in this. Then we're going to talk about how students can use it, how instructors can use it, and then we're going to kind of talk about what else is out there, what's kind of coming on the horizon. Okay. So before we do that, and maybe Sue, you can pop that link in the chat for us. So for those of you who are joining remotely, we've got a Padlet. For those of you who are here in the room, maybe you can attempt to use my QR code here or type in bit.ly. And I just want to give a couple of minutes, not too long, to just put a word or two, not a sentence, but a word or two up. Just kind of take the temperature of how you're feeling right now about this topic. What are you thinking about? What do you think? Yeah, okay. Robot apocalypse. Access, innovative tool, creativity. It said, scary, curious, creativity, cheating, forcing change.
Do I do that? So
anxious.
Do you do that right over what's on the bottom?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then that will pop up a little thing where you can type into it. Opportunity for students to create lit reviews. Someone has been thinking about this. End of original thought. Oh, wow. Okay. Automation, possibility, great. Someone said oh my gosh, there's a lot of people joining us online. Here. It's going fast. Yeah, bring it on, someone said. Okay. Okay, so if you want to continue to just kind of monitor this, I know people are going to be continuing to go crazy. People are going to be continuing to post their thoughts, but let's keep going here. Okay. All right, so what is it? Okay, so this is where I'm going to attempt to explain what it is. And some of you are going to be thinking, oh, okay, you know how much more than I do. Okay, so it's an unsupervised artificial intelligence, unsupervised AI. Okay, so here's my understanding of it. Okay, so supervised AI is like when you call a customer service line and you're talking to a robot and you forgot your password and you make a sentence, you say it into the phone, and then it picks up that keyword and it spits out the answer. Some human has mapped these possible answers, and it can only give you answers dependent on what the humans have thought of, have anticipated your questions to be. Okay. So if you ask it, a question that's outside of that, it just will not be able to deal with that at all. Unsupervised artificial intelligence is based not on these particular roadmaps, but it's based on it's trying to simulate or mimic the way that human language works, the syntax and semantics of the way that human language works, and then plugs in the words and phrases from there. So it's limitless in terms of the topics that it can communicate about. Okay, so people, is that sort of, yeah? Okay. It was developed by a company called OpenAI, which means that it's openly licensed, and that means that it's free for now. Okay, so we're on version 3.5 that is free. There is a version 4.0 and that you have to pay for. That's what is going on right now. Now, there are, of course, other AIs besides ChatGPT, but I chose this one because this is kind of the one that everyone knows about, everyone's been talking about. So, but there are other ones that do similar things. Some have different features and functions that are a little bit better, a little bit worse. Okay. So, what can it do? Now we're going to talk about more specifically exactly how students can use it, how instructors can use it. These are just some of the things that it can do. It can, of course, generate human-like text. It can provide information on a wide variety of topics based on training up until September 2021. That's the last update. It can assist with coding-related tasks. It can simulate characters for role-playing and storytelling purposes. It can act as a conversation partner. If you're learning a language, studying a language, it can give recommendations for books, movies, music, that kind of thing. It can also help problem solving and offering ideas and strategies for any like challenges or problems that you may have in your life, personal or otherwise. What is it not capable of doing? So what it cannot do is provide any information that occurred after its last update, September 2021. It has no ability to moral or ethical reasoning. It does not have any common sense based on real world experiences, does not have the ability to think critically or evaluate information for accuracy or credibility. Cannot perform complex, creative, or unique artistic expression, okay? And it cannot acquire real human language. This one's important to me because I'm a linguist, okay? And I do have, at the very end, very last slide, as a list of some articles. A lot of the articles I used to study on this and prepare the presentation. There's an op-ed that Chomsky wrote, just basically talking about the difference between what AI language is, and particularly ChatGPT, but what AI language is, difference between that and real human language. So if you want to check that out. And we do have a free subscription to the New York Times through our library, so you can get those. Yeah, so you can get those for free. Yeah, get New York Times for free. Okay, I feel very strongly that this is an equity issue. And let me tell you, this is where I'm going to tell you how I learned about this. So my son, this is his second year. I'm going to Fresno City. Last spring, I think it was about the second or third week in the semester, he said, "Hey, Mom, have you ever heard of ChatGPT?" I'm like, "No, I don't know what that is." So he brought his laptop over to me and he's like, "Hey, check this out." He's like, "You can ask it any question that you want and it'll just give you the answer." And he showed me and I was like, and my stomach just dropped. I'm like, "You don't use that. You cannot use that. Do not use that in your classes. Okay. You're going to get caught. Your teachers are going to know." And he's like, "What are you talking? You do not know what you're talking about." He just rolled his eyes and just, okay. So here's my point. I did ask him to help co-present here, and tell us like the perspective of the student. This was his answer. "I ain't gonna be no snitch." Okay. But here's my point. There is a certain population of students and a certain demographic who knows what this is, who uses this to their advantage. Their demographic is parents with master's degrees who are college instructors. They're using it already. They know about it already. And then there's everybody else. Okay. So I do very strongly believe that it is our responsibility to introduce AI to all of our students, show them what it is, show them how to use it ethically, why they need to know about it. We're going to be talking to a student who uses it at his workplace ethically, responsibly, and he's going to be talking about how really this is the future. And people in general need to know how to use this, okay, for their jobs in the future. Okay, this is changing the way that education is going to be going forward. All right, this is the calculator of today. Okay.
So when you
Yes.
say we,
Yes.
to educate students, do you mean like the district, the city college, some sort of training? As an instructor.
Yeah, so I think that that's a bigger that's a conversation that we need to let's put a pin in that right now, and because that is a very, so it's your turn right now,
To answer your question though, because of the way it was able to like 3 to 5 times up my productivity at City Hall, it would be, if you don't know how to use it, you're going to be way left behind. Because my productivity literally skyrocketed, and I was able to do the jobs of like 5 people, because normally I kind of dabbled in like graphic design. I kind of dabbled in writing, proclamations and stuff. But this way I was able to just knock it out. Like I would go to AI and make this, I'd go to AI, and normally what they were using me for, what I figured out, because they would ask me constantly, can you write this, Carrie? Can you write that? Can you write this? And I'd write it, and then my chief of staff would change a bunch of it. And I realized she just needed me as the stem and the framework to start out. So once I was able to offload that job to ChatGPT, I was able to free up and do everything else. But
City Hall, like provides that. My question, Sally.
no, they didn't provide. I knew about it. Nobody else knew about it. I told like a couple of employees I liked. And everybody else I did not tell. So yeah.
So I think that this is going forward, Rebecca. This is going to be it's just going to change the way that we as instructors have to think about the way that we teach our classes, and right. And so
it's also
so let's wait till the end, because I want to make sure that we get through all the content, and then we can have this is a big topic. Yeah, big discussion. Okay, you're right. Yeah.
Go forward.
Yeah.
All right. My name's Carrie Lester, and I use ChatGPT. So just to let you know, I know there's a lot of stigma about it. It can't just provide you every answer possible because it's a large language model. So it's not built off rules the same way your computer or something here is built on. It's built on just data from places like Reddit and other places scraped off the internet. So ChatGPT will absolutely lie to your face. So what a lot of students find is that when they go into using it, it doesn't just give them the answer. They end up putting in all this work just to get it to work right. It is a tool like everything else, and you can program it. And it does have some things built into it because it does have to understand semantics and other type of linguistic, subjects, just so it can perform, create a proper sentence. But it's not going to give you everything. And you'll notice that if somebody tries to use ChatGPT without doing anything, you'll notice because there'll be lies in it, or there'll be it will literally just make it up. You need a citation, it'll say, oh, sure, in 1985, blah, blah. And if you don't check it, it'll just throw that out there for you. So, but it's just like everything else. It's a tool. The more you get into it, the more you learn about it, the better you can use it. So I work as a tutor here in the PASS Center. I handle English and linguistics typically. I am a super gadget junkie and a super tech head. So that's why I'm on top of this. I got Google IT certified for fun and all that kind of stuff. So this is like right up my alley. This has actually been out for quite a while. It just hit the mainstream in December, but a lot of us have known about it for the last years. It's been like increasing its abilities. So one of the main reasons, the ways that I use it personally as a tutor, is language translation. And this is one of the greatest features that this thing has. So large language models, that's what ChatGPT is. There's other ones like Claude 2 and so on. They can translate hundreds of languages in dialects, like instantly. That has been one of the biggest things I've dealt with in tutoring, is trying to, deal with that language barrier. And this has helped me immensely because it speaks in conversational language. So it's not just, when you go to Google Translate and it gives you a very, I don't know how to describe it, very stiff kind of answer. It effortlessly translates complex course material, instructions to the students' native languages. Again, any worksheet you have, you can plug it into ChatGPT, and within under a minute, you'll get a version of that in French, Spanish, Costa Rican, whatever you need to go. You can even tell it to do things like, we messed around with it, and it actually will do a dialect like African American vernacular English or Jersey or anything else like that too for fun. They're excellent at explaining complex concepts using conversational language. This is one I dealt with a lot because I found that it's easy to explain rules to people, even if you're dealing with a different language, but explaining like a concept or anything that's kind of abstract, that gets really difficult. So I was dealing with somebody who was from Guyana, and I asked her like, what language works best for you? And she told me French, and we were instantly able to translate what we were working on, and she got it. Yes.
To your earlier point though, that it might lie to you.
Yeah.
So how do you know that even with them saying this, the translating kind of thing, that you were getting the accurate translation of what you were telling it to the language that you're translating to?
The translating is different than the facts. So I've never encountered it having an issue with translation in that sense because it understands the structure of languages. It will tell you which languages it doesn't know, but the ones that it does know really well.
I'm just asking because I can for me, you're gonna come on Facebook or something and people post in one language and because I do it in another language in Dutch.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what they give you is like, that's not exactly the same thing, because I know the English and the Dutch, so I can see that it's not, because it just does whatever.
Yeah, and language translation is not simple, and no computer, right? There's no like gadget or computer that is, people need a master's degree to do language translation, so there's no simple language
The
translation.
difference with this one though, is it like, for instance, let's say you notice something that it did, like that's not proper. You could tell it that and it would learn from that situation and make a change from then on. So that is the beauty of it, is that it can learn unlike a normal language translation. So this is using ChatGPT for lesson planning. Now, I will admit, I did ask ChatGPT how it could help you. So, because I'm not an instructor. So, and this is one of the things I pointed out. Now, this first one, quickly summarize documents to create condensed versions of academic papers and text, the best research assistant ever. This, I actually was explaining to one of my friends who recently got her doctorate, and she was livid because she told me about how she would have to pour over research papers constantly. And this thing will just knock it out in about 2 minutes, which I've used it personally, considering I have my attention span's not the greatest. I plugged a chapter into something, and when I went back, because I could not remember where these specific places were, and I get really frustrated, but this I was able to exactly ask, hey, where is phrase structure rules? Where is that? And it exactly told me, where's the book talk about this, that? And it exactly tells you. Unlike when you go through a search on, like, let's say you're looking through a PDF and you have to look for a keyword and hope that that keyword that probably comes up 800 times looking for the one that you want. This one understands enough that you can be conversational with it, and it will understand even if the keywords aren't there because it understands the subject. So easily generate relevant examples for assignments. Yes, you can also plug information into it and ask it to give you an example. I've used that feature because I found out I'm not that good at Spanish. So I had to ask it different, like I did not understand why something was working. I'm saying, why is this not this way? Well, I don't understand why. Reiterate this, that. And it told me really easily, and it gave me an example. It gave me an example, and I asked why? And it told me, oh, because it's in third person. So it does understand enough. That was one of the most beautiful things to me right there, was being able to have it personally tutor me. Adapt teaching materials and feedback for different learning styles. This is very true as well. It doesn't have like the best understanding of like dyslexia and stuff yet, but it does understand if you were to say, how do I help someone who has ADHD? How do I help someone who's autistic? It can actually help you out on that. Do please double check it, because again, it will lie to you. So, but for the most part, it is pretty good about answering those questions. Now, how can students use ChatGPT? Now, this is one I didn't know about until I got to the tutoring center, because I'm pretty ravenous about information, and I never thought to be embarrassed about a question. I just asked openly because I want to know. And I might even annoy you with it because I just want to know the answer. But after working in the tutoring center, I realized over and over again, I dealt with people who say, I was really like, I wasn't sure about coming in here, or they get really embarrassed about asking a simple question. This gives you the ability to, it's faceless, it's a computer. You can ask it anything. And one of the best things that it can do is you can literally say, hey, explain this to me like I'm 15. Explain this to me like I'm 10. Explain this to me like I'm 5. And it will break it down that far. That is also one of the best tools I've come across so far, is that one feature. Pre-writing steps for essays and research papers. Now, this is what's really funny, because in the past center, like a lot of you, I'm guessing there's a lot of writing purists. So when I said I was using ChatGPT, I pretty much got looked down on. So nobody wanted to use it. But as finals rolled in and midterms rolled in, it was pretty funny, because I became like the guy in like a steroid guy in the gym or something. You're like, oh, hey, you got that ChatGPT. So you get step in the shadows. So, and what they find is, again, it's not going to give you an answer, but it can absolutely give you a framework. This actually came up huge for me because we had a new professor that was giving us assignments in my group communications course that had nothing to do with group communications. And one of the only ways I could get through it was, and she was also really hard to get a hold of. So I was able to ask ChatGPT, how do I make a marketing plan? Because I'm in a group communications course. I have no idea how to make a marketing plan. There was no example. But this was able to give me a full-on example. I said, how would I make that? And blah, blah, blah. And it says, oh, and just gave me the framework. These are the things you need to do. It's blah, blah, and filled it up with garbage. And I went back and, changed it to the shoe we were selling or whatever, to a group project. So also that is probably one of the, I say the most used features. Brainstorming for projects and essays, also a good one. It's not going to come up with anything new. Just like Professor Potter said, it can't create fully. It can only work off what it's been given. So, but it is a good jumping off point. And as far as we go with equity, this one is huge. I was lucky in the fact that I did grow up in a very low income household, but my mother is very good at grammar. She's very smart, and she taught me to speak well, speak properly. And I could always go to her when I needed a cover letter, when I needed a resume, but I started realizing other people don't have that. This can instantly build you a resume, a cover letter, just by entering the information in about yourself. Even if you didn't, and if you didn't trust it that much and you just wanted a template, it could do that as well. But I thought that was one of the most beautiful features that can really help a lot of people, who don't have access. And this one I also use as well. Practice interview questions and answers for internships or jobs within a major. This really blew my mind because you can actually sit and pretend to have an interview with this thing. And you can say, you can literally tell it, oh, you are a manager at you're an HR manager for a marketing company. Please, give me these questions, blah, blah, and it will shoot them out to you. I used it against a bot. So I thought it was pretty funny because I was dealing with a bot when I was applying for a job, and it started, asking me all these, they're like, can you take this test of, SEO, this, that, and this thing completely helped me out. So it also helped me impress somebody because I asked, like, what are the 3 most important things I should be talking about with marketing? And it gave me those 3 steps. And I took those 3 steps and I asked it about each individual thing it gave me. I went back and asked for more clarification on each one. So by the end of it, I had a really good understanding of how to be an SEO, of how to market, of what I should be looking for, the understanding of market saturation and such. It also once taught me how to program in Python. Dr. Dorian actually, this came up in the past interview because everybody's arguing about it because it's a controversial subject. But she pointed out how much I had to put into ChatGPT to get the code that I wanted out of it. And it was true. By the time I was done, you end up learning about it anyway, which, like this has happened to me more than once in life too. Like for instance, back in the day, I really didn't like geometry. I love math, but I do not like geometry. So I taught Excel how to do my geometry homework, and I ended up learning geometry because I had to teach the thing how to use it. And to me, that's kind of what this becomes. It's not going to give you this great instant answer, but it will increase your productivity and instantly help you be able to understand whatever it is you're working on in depth. So, and like I said, is anyone who's looking to publish a paper or anything, again, great, because you can go through 20 pages of whatever and ask it to find studies on intelligence or whatever it is that you're looking for right then. So I will take a few questions since I have about 3 minutes left. Anybody has any? I know how to pepper on. Yes.
Is it something that's free for everyone or the other thing?
It's free right now. So this is ChatGPT and it says 3.5. There is a premium version, which is 4.0. Ironically, I think because it's learning more and more about people, it's kind of getting dumber. But 4.0 does let you use plugins. So there's all kinds of extras you can add to it to make it work with whatever you've got going on.
So if I'm looking for a paper on the geochemistry of Mount Lassen or something, how is ChatGPT going to give me more than a Google search will?
Okay, so for this only knows the internet till about 2021. So for that, you'd have to use Bing that has ChatGPT built into it so it could search the web for you with AI. But this one, they cut it off and it doesn't have internet access, so it only knows. So if that paper was before 2021 and it was already in its knowledge base, it would help you. But otherwise, like I said, you could use Bing with ChatGPT that has access to the internet. Yes.
So kind of, if you have a question students to some like research about, we want them to use something that is. Even last 8 years, we don't have to.
Yeah.
Then this is not going to work, is that correct?
No, yeah, you would have to use the Bing with ChatGPT or look up another language model that has current. Yeah.
Yeah. With the interview questions, can
Mhm.
you can generate interview questions, but can you do like a back and forth interview and have it feedback on your answers and kind of evaluate them?
I've not done the feedback, but yes, it probably fit. I don't see why it couldn't, but yes, I've actually done the interview with it where we'll sit and just talk back and forth with you, or you could have it print out a bunch of questions. It'll go either way. So, yeah.
I don't know if they were plugged in. They might all be dead.
So I'm gonna have this not work for me this once.
What did you do?
It's not fair to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah.
You feel you're learning it, or you're learning the hot terms, the hot words that will sound good in the interview? I mean, do you,
It's just like everything else. It depends on how deep you want to go with it. So if you stay in a shallow level with it, like if you ask it those first three things, it'll only give you those first three things and that's all you know. But like I said, if I went back and said, explain this one point, and it goes into depth about that one point. Like I chose to talk about market saturation because I figured that would be the best with the job that I was working in, and it went into market saturation. So again, it's like everything else. It depends on how deep you want to go into that tool, or if you want to.
Really quick, this is your interpreter on the Zoom session. Do you mind repeating that question for us, as well as a brief summary of your answer?
He asked whether or not I felt like you actually learned the subject when you're using ChatGPT, and I explained it really depends on how deep you want to go into said subject. So if you only take the first answer it gives you, you're only going to get that shallow bit of knowledge, but you can ask it follow-up questions to learn about those things more in depth.
perplexity was another issue right now.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, I don't know about Perplexity. There's a bunch of them. If you guys want to, I don't think it's on here, but there's a site called futuretools.io. Yeah, so futuretools.io is a search engine for AI for all different kinds. You can, and it filters out free, generative art, writing help, video, well, everything you could possibly imagine.
What is it?
Futuretools.io.
Future tools stuff.
Okay, so
Yeah, it looks like you have to actually log on to an account. How safe is this to give your information to them? It's,
Well, it's just usually, I only hit the Google where you just use Google, but I would say that that's pretty safe because they actually, the CEO of OpenAI actually went before Congress to tell them that they should, what they should do and how we should be looking out for, to be safe and be covered by everything that AI can do. So I would say this is definitely one of the safer ones because, like I said, they're trying to be as above board as possible. And they were actually sounding the alarm that because of the way everything was exploding, that we need to be on the lookout for it. We need to watch it. So.
okay, so what we're going to do right now, and I guess, Susie, I think some of your computers are not charged all the way or something. I don't know. So we got some complaints out here. So what we're going to do is take a couple minutes and just kind of play around a little bit. For those of you who are at home, or on your, or joining us virtually, you can, type in, chat.openai.com. You can also get there by just Google searching chat GPT and it'll be there as well.
You have to.
I think so.
And, or got that in the chat maybe, oh, cool, yeah.
Where's the?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to, more to your question, sorry.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Anytime you see the thing that pops up that says use your Google, that means they've been vetted by Google. Or anything that says use your Apple account, that means they've been vetted by that to be able to use that feature. So it shouldn't, that's why you can usually trust that that's secure. So.
So if you don't have an account already, you can create a quick one.
Great one.
Give a burner email address or with my Google like that,
Yeah, go ahead. I have to figure my.
You can share with, if your computer's not working, you can share with them.
It signs to your Google account.
Oh,
Go back. Go back
and
to.
Sally, what did you ask them to search for?
just the chat GPT log. Yeah. Yeah. And so okay, so here's the activity that we're going to do. So this is what I use it for, all the time. I use it to create, assessments in my courses. I teach online a lot, and I'm always struggling to find creative, for example, discussion board prompts, creative questions to assignments. I'm trying to provide my students with free textbooks, and so I'm trying to create the assignments together with the readings. And sometimes I'm just tired, and it's really hard to be creative and think of good questions, good authentic questions that, especially for discussion boards. Oh man, those are really, really hard. But any kind of assessment. So I just wanted to see if we could maybe, you could maybe try that out. So in my experience, what you want to do is to ask a real specific question. So it's not a good idea to say something like, right, or give it a command. You can give it a command. So you can say something like, write a discussion board prompt on universal grammar. That is not going to get you a good result. Okay. A better command is going to be something like, write a discussion board prompt analyzing the difference between how humans process language and artificial intelligence, and language is processed by artificial intelligence. It doesn't have to be dramatically. And then what will happen is we're going to get something that is kind of broad, kind of a little generic, but in my experience, that will give you an idea about something better. And then you ask it another question. Then that will give you your discussion board prompt that's better. So you have to be kind of an expert in the subject matter to even ask the question.
Challenges and growth areas. That's interesting. You guys get to write a 10-page on
tenure self-assessment.
and it did,
It breaks it down.
but it broke it down into different
Research and scholarship group.
future goals.
Yeah. Another thing that I have used it for often is writing letters of recommendation.
Right. I think
That is although I love my peeps, I love my colleagues. I'm often asked to write letters of recommendations at inopportune times, times when it's very, very busy. And what I have done is I can feed it a letter that I have written in the past. So it knows my writing style, knows my voice. And then I can tell it, write a letter of recommendation for Jennifer and, include these characteristics. And then it's not going to be perfect. It's not, I'm going to have to go back and tweak it, but it doesn't take me, an hour and a half. Okay. It takes me like 10 minutes. Yeah.
I've used it to write non-aggressive emails when I was upset. So.
Yeah.
So can you copy and paste the email that you said and ask how to answer this?
Yeah.
Or something like
Yeah.
that?
I've said to in a non-confrontational way, because please
Wow.
answer, yeah, if I was very upset, it would be said to me. Then please put this in a non-confrontational persuasive manner, so yeah. Yeah.
We couldn't even figure that out.
Why did you say that it was getting dumber? Are you supposed to?
I mean, probably just because well, they're already worried that there's too many bots on the internet right now. And if it's learning more and more from us, it's just a reflection of us. So, take that what you will, because it only learns off stuff that we put out there, that people put out there. I haven't looked into why, but I know that's come up multiple times that ChatGPT 4 is like dumber than ChatGPT 3. So apparently leaving it open to everything is somehow making it dumber as opposed to leaving it closed off, where you kind of streamline. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can get.
It's like Ultron. I mean,
If
it's
it's
the
learning
same
from
thing.
Reddit, like.
Yeah. Yeah. Wherever its sources are basically getting dumber. So yeah. Unfortunately, it's getting dumber.
But you wouldn't be able to change that because it is open, right?
Yeah. But that's just why, but that's also when you deal with it on an individual basis, that's why you can curve what goes on, because you can tell it like that's not correct.
20% of my students use it. I'm like over the summer to write their entire papers.
Mhm.
And I've used like 3 checkers, detectors, and that's what we're struggling with. Like, I don't mind them using it for ideas and things like that. But then like, if they do, and it does show up on like all 3 detectors, that it's 100% or whatever, because most detectors don't tell you like which part.
Yeah.
It tells you that like it's 100% certain that this has used it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be helpful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so the checkers are controversial,
Yeah.
right? Because they, and one of the articles that I have, addresses that issue. It's not, the checkers are not like, turnitin.com.
Right.
Where it actually, it can guarantee that, it's like, this is, actually, it's 100% plagiarized. It's like you kind of have a sense that these students are not, it's kind of artificial language. What I would say to that is that, this is a huge concern, for all of us. And of course, as writing teachers,
Right.
for all instructors, this is a huge concern. We need to figure out some ways and we're all struggling this across the globe. We're all struggling with this to try to figure out how to truly inspire and motivate our students to not do this, right? And this is not an easy thing to do and not an easy thing to grapple with. And so I believe that we're not quite there yet. And so we're kind of in this, we are in this transition time. And so there are some, a couple of different ways that you can go about it. One is that you can completely lock everything down and you can just require everyone to just, come to campus, take all your assessments on paper in front of you, so you can just monitor their every move.
Mhm.
If they're online, you can put the eyeball, like checkers on them or whatever, so in the lock down their screens. And so, but of course they can beat, there's technology that can beat that too. They're always going to be one step ahead of us. I don't believe that is realistic going forward. And again, what we're talking about is that these are important skills to have. Using this technology is important skills to have. The other, opposite view to have is to think about this technology as this is the future. This is not going anywhere. This is part of our lives going forward. And we need to embrace this. And we need to change how we teach and how we
Right.
present material. And I don't have no one right now has 100% of the answer of how we're going to do this. One thing that we can stop doing is asking or requiring assessments that are so easy to be, for students to cheat on. That's one thing that we can do.
Sure.
But that's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, and it does, for every time somebody makes one of the detectors, somebody makes something that's will scramble it. But what I was gonna say is you can go after the things that it sucks at, like it sucks at citations. So it will not work well with the citations. So if you put citations, you just require citations or cited work in there, it really is not that good at that. So that's where it'll start making stuff up. So that was one way you could do it. Or I would say maybe if you trick them and ahead of time, ask them to maybe relate, just write something small about how this relates to them personally. And then in the next assignment, maybe throw that in because it's not going to be able to relate to anything personal. It'll also make that up too. So
What like I've done is over the summer, it's that I interviewed students in their papers and I asked them to describe one source that they use in their papers. And for some of them, they use ChatGPT 100%. I mean, which I can tell because again, I could totally lies and they'll these entire sentences.
Yeah.
They couldn't like even discuss like any source that they even looked at, right?
Yeah.
And then you can have a conversation about, thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, students have always been
Sure.
cheating. They've always done it. This is just another way to do it. They're going to come up with more ways to do it. And, and so we just, need to, I mean, this is just a different, world. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
All right. Oh. You can just monitor the chat right there.
You can just right there know.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about the chatbots, the ChatGPT and whatnot, but what else is out there that is AI generated? So to practice, I have a picture here. Before I begin, I just want you to take a look at this picture and those that are in the room, hold up a finger, hold up one finger if you think this was created by AI. Hold up two fingers if you think this was created by a human. And then those that are virtual, you would do the same. Just put it in the chat. You think this picture was created by AI? If so, then you can put AI or put number one. And if you think it was created by a human, then two.
Can we go 3 fingers if we have no idea?
Let's see. Okay. It's almost even here. What is that?
It's all AI.
All AI.
One person said a human using AI.
Yes. All right. So it was created by AI. The prompt that was used to create this image was create a pineapple that's made of rainbow cake, rainbow cake inside, photography style. So this is what was generated then. Okay, so let's do another one here. Same thing. If you're in the room here, 1 for AI, 2 for human. And same with the chat, either AI or human.
These sounds AI.
I know.
1 or 2? 1 for AI, 2 for human.
2 for human.
For human, yes. What is
This is
the?
Steve Longo. I think it was made by.
It's a mix in.
Human for
the-
sure.
In the chat. Okay. So majority said human, okay, yeah. It was created by AI, generated by AI. Prompt that was used here was create a high contrast mountains that are black and white and has a wide angle. And this is what it came up with. So. Good, all right. All right.
Wow, it is getting smarter it seems then, because that told me. I really thought that was something that a person did, is what Steve is saying.
All right, last one here, okay? So same thing, 1 for AI, 2 for human.
Come on.
1 for AI, 2 for human.
Those sweet birds, they better exist.
1s, 2s. Okay, so in the room, oh, it's about half and half as well too. So this was actually taken by a human. One of my former colleagues, he's a photographer and he took this picture. Does anyone know where? Anybody recognize? Morro Bay. Yes, so if you go to Morro Bay, he actually has some of his artwork for sale at the gallery at the marina over there. And you can also find him on Instagram, Terry Garvin. And I'm sure if you go to Morro Bay, you'll probably recognize this rock too.
Yes, but my question is, although this one was taken by you, could you have gotten this by doing AI, by putting in, like you did.
Enough information.
Put in the right prompts and could it generate this?
You could get there eventually. Because of the way the prompts work, because of all those tiny silhouettes, you would have had to add those later. But now you can make the basic, like before you could only say the one prompt and it would give you one picture. But now you can spit out the one picture and then you can have it adjust little pieces of it.
And part of what I because that other one with the rainbow pineapple, the reason I thought it was human is because I got the pineapple with the rainbow, but they had like the mints on it. I'm like, ooh, that's too many. You know? But I'm like, because you didn't say and mints on the plate, right? So with this, it's a that. So like to me, all these things they could be done by it could have been human again, right? But you put in the right prompts, and you could get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's to get this exact picture, I don't think AI would be able to generate, yes. But if you put in all the details and put in all the descriptive features of the picture itself, it could come close. And we see that now with a lot of musicians, a lot of artists. There's with AI right now and all these generative AI tools that are available. We see that they're coming across copyright issues. Like that was my colleague Terry's picture that he took. He has ownership over that. So what right does AI have to take that, and generate that image? All right. So the two pictures that I showed you that were generated by AI, they actually came from an AI image generator. So beyond just the ChatGPT and the chat bots, these are coming out now too. And these image creators, you just put in a prompt similar to what you do with the ChatGPT, and it just creates the image for you. And this is Adobe, which is huge, and they're implementing this into their product. It's called Firefly. It's in beta right now, but I'm sure it'll become part of their suite and everything soon.
And it seems like this technology is spreading really fast, right? Like, and this is Steve again. I'm astounded by how quickly this seems to be spreading.
Yes.
It's because they're using AI to improve AI, and it's getting so much more data now because everybody knows about it, so it's able to improve even faster. So
OpenAI, who created ChatGPT, their language is open source, and so anyone who's programming or who wants to create anything, they can take that language and improve it or add it into their own products to create and generate that AI sort of feature into their products. And that's what a lot of these companies are doing here. Even being Microsoft right here, they just released their image creator as well too. So same thing, put in a prompt, it'll generate an image. Canva, how many of us use Canva? I love Canva. I use it for everything. But now they're also offering AI generated images for you, which I think is good, but it is a bit scary. And DALL-E E2, this is the second version, but this one is also created by OpenAI, and this was their image generator tool that they had created as well too. So. Music generators. So Boomi allows you to create any original song and submit it to a streaming platform, and when people listen to your song, you actually get paid when people play your song. And Sally had spoken about this earlier as well too, but one of the trends that I'm seeing in a lot of these new AI tools is you can use it, register for an account and you can use it, but there's also a pay for version. There's a subscription that's added to it. And that's how a lot of these companies are going to be making money. Okay, you know, you want the premium, you want all the features, it's going to be $12.99 per month. See, and so for example, Boomi, that's like one of those tools. You can sign up for free, create your music and whatnot. But after you create, I can't remember exactly, over 10 songs or something, then you have to pay the premium. Music LM is part of Google, part of their Google Test Kitchen, where they also allow you to type in a prompt and it'll automatically generate some music based on what your prompt says. Okay, how about this one here? I see a lot of us are taking notes here, and when I'm sure throughout this whole day we've been taking notes and typing everything down, asking for the slides and everything like that. What if you could have AI create an outline of all of your notes that you've taken today or from this workshop or any of the other sessions, and ask it to create a summary or create an outline? That's Microsoft 365, their Copilot program here. It's going to be integrated into their 365 products, Word, PowerPoint, OneDrive. And so you can say, generate an email that's responding to this event that I'm invited to, or summarize my meeting minutes and give me an outline or whatnot. So that is part of what Microsoft is going to be rolling out in their products. Microsoft announced this just this past March of this year, and it's a lot of corporations, big businesses use Microsoft, and this is what they had written about why they released this. It says Copilot will fundamentally change how people work with AI and how AI works with people. And as with any new pattern of work, there's a learning curve, but those who embrace this new way of working will quickly gain an edge. And so that's how they're promoting. But of course, Google can't be left behind. So they also are coming out with their own tool that's similar to what Microsoft has come out with. It's called Duet AI, which is going to work with their workspace, which is the Google Docs slides, that whole suite. And Google announced this back in May, that they would be implementing this. And it's integrated into the different apps in Google Workspace, and it's going to help to write and refine content that's in your Gmail, in your Google Docs, create original images from text into your slides, turn ideas and actions in Google Sheets. It's just going to be there and available for you to utilize. Duet is still in beta currently, and it's not fully available to just anybody yet. But I'm anticipating that it probably will be within, the next couple months or by next year. Grammarly. I know a lot of us use Grammarly as well too, but Grammarly has released their product called Grammarly Go. Similar to the chatbot, it allows you to ask a prompt and it'll generate a response. It also allows you to rewrite that response and improve it. Again, you can choose a tone or you can choose a different formality. As I had mentioned earlier, a lot of these tools, they're they charge an additional fee to access the AI part of it. And so this is the same with Grammarly Go. In the free version, you just get the chat bot and some basic writing suggestions, but for the full AI version, you have to pay the monthly fee. All right, but wait. There's more. AI course creators. I think I might have to look for a new profession. I'm just joking, but I haven't tried this yet. And as you can see, I mean, there's a pricing associated with it, but with and actually earlier this morning, one of our colleagues, Nick, he did a flex session on making the classroom more impactful and more human. And so I feel I haven't experimented with this yet or not, but I would assume from what I've seen with ChatGPT that these AI course creators, they are still missing an important point, important part in the design, which is the human side of teaching. And so, again, like creating that sense of belonging, making your course open and welcoming, putting in your own unique touches into your Canvas courses to create that excitement, to create that environment of support and dedication that you have for your students. I think using something like an AI would totally miss that.
Have you used this before?
I haven't.
Played with it?
I haven't, but
I'm curious, like you put in like a book and you put in like, I need discussion questions, I need like I'm like 8-page essay assignment.
yeah.
If it would generate that,
Yeah.
and you.
So I haven't used this, but just this week, in my inbox, Blackboard has announced that they are integrating AI course builder into their learning management system. And I just watched, right before I came here, actually, I just watched a short 15-minute video that they demoed. And so basically, when you're in your course and you create a page, you have all your text and whatnot there, they're going to say, oh, would you like to generate some questions? And so if you click that, it's going to read that content on the page that you have. And you can pick multiple choice, true, false, essay, or just a variety of questions. And AI will generate questions for you then. And so you can read them over. There is a disclaimer at top, which I think is very important. It's like, this was created by AI, but you still need to read it over for accuracy, which is totally true. And so, once you read it over, you can modify the questions if you want to, but then you can select which ones you want to use in your course. And same thing for images. So if you want to create a banner for your week 1 module or something like that, you can go into the AI image generator in Blackboard, and you can say, this unit is about the American Revolution. Find me an image and whatnot and use it as my banner. And so the AI image generator would create an image. You can select which one you want to use and just embed it directly into it. I would assume that this tool here would probably be similar in using AI to create a course that way as well. All right. And how about this one here? This one was interesting to me. Oh, wow. During COVID, a lot of us, we did videos, we used videos, but we don't like to record ourselves in the video. Virtual human representations. So you can use written text, and these AI systems will generate the audio and video and provide a human appearing video for you that you can download that and utilize. yeah, that. You can take that one as however you want. Yeah, this one is Synthesia. But again, there's gonna be price associated with it. And so, I think as AI continues to advance, that's sort of just gonna become common. And all of these different AI generators from the chat box, the images, the virtual human representations or whatever I showed you, these all just occurred within the past 6 months or so. ChatGPT, it was released to the public just last November. It hasn't even been a year yet. And we are still advancing, and we don't know where this technology is going to go or what is ahead. So I don't have a top 10 things for you for this semester or about AI or anything like that. And I'm not here to say that you should or you shouldn't use it. You need to decide that for yourself. Does it fit in my class, in my teaching, in my learning objectives? Is it useful? How do we want to incorporate this? Those are again, discussions and conversations that you will have to have. And so I have 3 starting points for us. I don't have a crystal ball to see, what's going to happen next, what's going to happen by the end of this year or next year or anything like that. But the technology is continuing to evolve and change, and nobody really knows what's to come. And if you know, please share. Please share with us. But this is what I can share, 3 starting points for us to think about and to reflect on as individuals, as departments, as an institution, as a college here. First, AI is here and it is available. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Second, do your own research, visit some trusted resources and see what they're saying about AI, about ChatGPT. Research in your industry, in your field, what are they saying? Whatever type of research you'd like to do, just get to understand generative AI more and what its capabilities are. And third, talk about it. Have conversations with your colleagues in your department, in your division, at other colleges. Like Sally had mentioned earlier, I think those conversations are so important right now because there's a lot of unknown. And so what do we do as faculty members? I think we, the Academic Senate, I think would be a great place to bring our concerns, curiosity, create that space for us to have these conversations and what we should do about it. One thing that I want to leave you with is we understand that AI, it's not going away, but when we think about it, what are the human skills that we want our students to take away from our course? Yes, technology, it can do all of this, but what are the human skills though? Because ultimately what we want is for our students to have the skills, have the tools that they need to face the challenges that they're going to face in the world they're going to live in. And AI is going to be part of that world. And so how do we prepare them for that?
Then watch the Terminator.
Okay. So before we get to that, I just wanted to just really quickly, because Sue reminded me of something. I want to just tell you how I'm going to be using it in my classes going forward. So I teach a couple different disciplines. In my linguistics classes, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to share with my students the Chomsky's op-ed, and which is difficult to read, but we're going to go through that, and we're going to talk about that, you know, what real human language is, and, you know, discuss that with some of his other theories, and, you know, present it that way. In my English 1A classes, I'm going to use it as a brainstorming tool and show them how to use it that way. Possibly use it for, different pre-writing steps like outlining and that kind of thing, and just really be, you know, open with them, you know, in terms of using it that way. I teach EMLS, and so I'm going to, you know, introduce it to my students and have them, play around with it. Use it as a conversation partner, use it as a way for them to, get translations, and use it to develop their language skills. So those are some ways that I'm going to be using it, along, directly in the classroom with my students. So just wanted you to think about that. I know I've talked to a couple of other folks. I'm not sure who all is here joining us virtually, but, some other of our colleagues who are using it. I know I've talked to Mary Ann. She's used it in her class and introduced it to her students, and some other people from the English department that have used it for pre-writing. So I think that is probably, what where we want to go in terms of, in my opinion, in terms of, introducing it to our students to, not be afraid of it, but embrace it and really, introduce it in an ethical way. Okay, so I've got another Padlet for you. And again, it's pretty similar to the first one. So this one is, okay. Now, after we've gone through all of our whole spiel over here, now what are you, what are your thoughts now? Anybody, anyone changing their, anyone's attitude changing, or thinking about a little different, getting some different ideas?
I definitely think that for me, something is like that, like you said, it's not going anywhere, students are gonna be using it, so the idea of saying, we're not gonna use it, so, is that might last, another semester at best.
Right.
So I think that me, the big takeaway is that learning how to incorporate this, but also being aware of what it can do, and if it's a big enough deal, like, for me, I do require certain citations, that's what I want them to learn.
Yeah.
And that is something that they can only get from the instruction, and they can only show that they learn it by their own work, not this. So to me, it's a balancing thing to maybe acknowledging, yes, it does have some things that are helpful, but there's still things that they can only get from me, and that they can show me how they.
Yeah, and and there's the value. I mean, there's such a big value. Again, it's going back to, how do people learn, right? They learn from this kind of, interaction, the human interaction, and this, discussions, right? When you have a small group discussion, whether it's in an online environment or a face-to-face class. And so we have to keep fighting. We have to keep pushing our administration to keep our class sizes low, as much as we possibly can, so that we can, push them down so that students can actually, get the benefit of that discussion, so that they can actually learn. Because what happens is when you get 40, 45, 50 students in your class, then you have no choice but to assign these kind of assignments that are, summarize these articles, right? That's all you can do, because you can't possibly, assess all of those, right? Yeah, yes.